Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and in just a moment we're going to be looking at hands that I have played from the button, where I have checked back on the river and won. This is to try and establish just how much value I am missing, maybe. Am I being a little bit too passive in position on the river? This is a filter that I run from time to time, along with the filter we ran last week about like calling rivers, etc. In order to make the video, this is because I don't do it super often. This is like from the whole year to date, and the hands I have filtered for are hands that are um, bigger than 25 big blinds invested by us on the river. So that not the really trivially small pots. These are all like medium-sized pots where I've checked back and won, and we're going to try and establish just how many mistakes I've made in those lines. So yeah, without further ado, let's get stuck into them. First hand here we have an ace and a king. We isolate a limper. We should c-bet here, and against a limper we should c-bet pretty large against a limp caller on ace queen 5, in my opinion. I think it's very easy to slip into or just fucking range bet here. And these hands are all done chronologically, so these are like from early in the year to late in the year. So this is probably from like January, February time. Not that that makes any excuses. I was I'm not trying to say I've got significantly better throughout the year. I hope to continuously improve, but there shouldn't be a massive difference in my level of play. This should just be a large bet, like 2/3 pot plus. And I go with some shitty range bet. Shut up, Reg, you fucking idiot. This is probably no, it's not even okay against no, because a reg wouldn't be in this spot. A reg wouldn't be limp calling. Ignore that. Against a fish, just bet bigger here. We've got top pair, top kicker. There's a whole plethora of hands they can call with. This is not a good bet size. Bill calls, as we know he does. Turn brick, or should be a brick. Some hands do improve, like ace four's got there. 5/4's got there against us, but nevertheless still a good card to barrel on. In terms of like shouldn't change too much and we should still be able to extract a lot of value when we have the best hand. He checks. 15 or more, please, Reg. 14.5, fair enough. Accept that. We face a min raise. Okay, so this guy is now telling us he's got 2 pair plus, like ace 4, 5/4 maybe. Maybe he's turned a set of 4s. Maybe he's like limp call 5s and waited for the turn to do his check raise. That's all his value. Bluffs he can have here. I don't think this is a line that's like bluffed too often. I think if this type of player wants to raise draws, like predominantly straight draws, I guess. I don't see them waiting for the turn to check min raise. So I think like we fall to a lot of value here. I don't think he has many bluffs, but at the same time, our hand's just too strong to fall to a check min raise from a fish because they could just be doing random shit. For who knows what reason. We don't know what reason that these recreational fish, VIPs, morons, whatever you want to call them, we don't know why they do certain things. He might just have ace 10 off here and be doing this. We just don't know. We beat value. We lose to like the top of his value range, but there are made hands that we beat here, and there's obviously bluffs that we beat, so there's no folding. We call. He checks river. And we already know I'm going to check back here because that's the premise of the video. I think this is a slam dunk all in. Yeah, there's no reason to not jam this on the river. Now it's just way more likely he's got hands like ace 10, ace jack, ace 9, whatever the heck else he's got. He maybe had a hand like queen 5 suited that we've now gone ahead of once in a blue moon. Yeah, slam dunk value bet. We know we didn't make it. This is a mistake from me. I think I made 2 mistakes this hand. First mistake is not betting large enough on the flop. Second mistake is checking back this river when it's a slam dunk value bet versus this line. Let's see what Villain had. They had the 8/5 off. Okay. On to the next one. Ace Queen of Clubs. We open. Weak reg calls in the small blind. Flop ourselves a top pair. I'm more on board with just range betting here. I mean, he's called the small blind. His range is going to be mostly pocket pairs. Like just two suited Broadway cards, like, I don't know, 10 Jack suited, King Jack suited, King 10 suited, that type of thing. That's typically what I mean. It could be a lot of things, but that's how I usually assign the ranges to these like weakish regs who Coco small blind, usually deuces through eights, and then some off-suited Broadway stuff, like maybe stuff like Ace Jack off, King Queen off, and then some suited stuff like Jack 10 suited, Queen 10 suited, that type of thing. I think versus that range, probably just have like a pretty bog standard range bet here. We make it. He check raises. So now he's telling us he's got ace 4, ace deuce, or a set, which is entirely possible. I don't think he's going to have too many flush draws here. The ones he's going to have is going to be like Jack 10 suited, Queen Jack suited, King Jack suited, maybe King Queen suited. So there are some flush draws, but I already think this is a pretty dicey spot versus like a weak reg or a weaker reg. We obviously elect to call because we're going to get to the river and we're going to check back and we're going to win. So we know that already. 9 on the turn. Villain now bets 3/4 pot, which is in line with what he should do having check raise the flop. All his flush draws want to continue betting. Obviously, all his made hands do. This is a dicey spot. I'm already not disappointed that I check back this river, no matter what the river is. That's a good card, though. It's a good card because it reduces his value combinations. And now he checks. And is this a value bet on the river? He's not checking pocket fours. He jams them. He's not probably not checking pocket deuces. He doesn't have pocket nines. He's not calling flush draws that have missed. So basically, we get value from ace jack that does this. Yeah, it's too thin, I think. I think it's too thin. Is it too thin? Let me know what you think. I mean, you know we're going to win, so you're already going to be a little bit result orientated. But is this too thin to value bet? I think we probably have the best hand most of the time on check. But, if we win, say, 70% of the time here on check, how often do we win when we... Do we have to jam? Can we just, like, block in position here and try and get called by like, a worst ace? Like, if we go all in here, we probably still win when called over half the time, but it's very close. If we bet one blind here, for example, and we get called, we win all the time. So if you're going to bet here, what size would you choose, or is it just too thin? I think now, looking back at this, I think I'd actually, as an exploit, I wouldn't mind just betting quarter pot, 1/3 pot, just try and get a crying call from like whatever he's like race of value and lost confidence in. Maybe he's fucking check raise the flop with a flush draw. Maybe he's turned a 9 and just barreled it. And then maybe he's just like checking the river. Who knows? I think there's value in a bet here, and I think quarter to 1/3 pot is what we probably should have done. It's what I would do now anyway. And we're not supposed to use block bets in position, but fuck that. I think we have enough equity in this pot when called to make a small bet. We did check back in game, and Villain just had to give up. I don't know what I think about his give up. I'm not here to review Villain's play. I'm here to review my own. So that's not as bad a check back as the first hand, but I still think we should probably try and get some value, even though we wouldn't have got it. On to the next one. Ace, Queen of Clubs. Yellow is my tag for decent regular. Opens. We 3-bet the button. We get 4-bet. Okay, this is dicey, but if I think he's a decent reg, I mean, I think he will have some lighter 4-bets. Let's have a look if he does. 4-bet 13% after raising 6 from 45 attempts. That's about standard, I would say, from what I typically see from population. So probably just a tight range, very tight range. Maybe the occasional bit of like ace-4, ace-5 suited. That all those shit regs find at least some frequency. It won't be all pure value, you wouldn't imagine, but it'll be very, very value driven. We call anyway because our hand's just too strong. We flop ourselves a top pair. Villain bets quarter pot. As is very standard. We have a standard call. Nothing to see here yet. 6 turn. Villain now checks. We have an SPR of less than 1. I think we just have a small bet here in position. And shove rivers. Versus check again. I mean, he might be checking ace-king. He might be checking pocket aces. It's a very narrow range of hands to be worried about. He can also have stuff like ace-5, ace-4 that probably won't fold. Pocket kings, pocket queens probably won't fold versus small bet. We just have a crystal clear value bet here. We make it. He calls. River kings, so now pocket kings get there. He does check. So that's like one of the hands that we beat on the turn that we now know we no longer beat. Ace King was already ahead of us. I don't think he necessarily plays Ace King that way very often. It makes it harder to get called by pocket queens now, I guess. Not much harder, but it's just one extra overcard for him to have to like be pissed off about. Do we have a value bet here? We have half pot. Yeah, we do. We still have a value bet. Do we? Aces and 6 for the king. No, we don't, because we chop now. We chop with all these ace X. If he's got ace 5, he's now playing ace and 6 for the king, same as us. Do we now no longer get value from the ace X region? So we only get value from like pocket queens, pocket jacks. Do they still call a jam? Do we ever lose on jam? Sometimes. So when we jam and get called, we sometimes lose. We mostly chop. And do we win very often? So we're going to mostly chop. We're sometimes going to lose. How often do we win the whole pot? Yeah, not too often. We're looking for him to call with like queens, jacks, which I don't think do very often. Yeah, I think this check back's fine on that board. If this was a lower card, like a 7 or something, I think this check back wouldn't be fine. But with it now, like alleviating him of any kicker problems with his ace-4, ace-5, I think it's just a check back. He did have queens on that instance. Next hand, ace queen off. We open, get 3-bet by maybe the same villain from the last hand. I'm not sure. I didn't bother looking at the guy's stats properly. Nevertheless, we have an easy call. Flop outside another top pair. He bets half pot here. We've got the ace of clubs, so that's going to significantly reduce the amount of like bluffs he has here, because he can't have the nut flush draw. We call, of course. 6 on the turn. He now bets again, pretty big, like 2/3 pot. And we know he doesn't have a flush draw. Well, nut flush draw here that he's betting. So like makes his hand way more likely to be like value driven, you would imagine, if we're removing a lot of his potential bluff combinations. This is already dicey. I'm already not going to hit the inevitable check back on the river. Obviously we called. I think we probably have to, but it's getting dicey, because if we can move quite a few flush draw combinations from his range, and we know he's very unlikely to be doing this with like pocket kings, pocket queens, etc. It's like we're hoping he's got ace jack, hoping he's maybe got some like suited broadways in clubs, like king queen clubs, king jack clubs, king 10 clubs, jack 10 clubs, that type of thing. We call again, obviously. River is a club. He now checks, and the question now is, well, 2 questions. Do we have a value bet? Or, because we have the nut blocker, do we turn our hand into a bluff? Did we go all in here? And he's got ace king. Now we know he doesn't have that, because we know we're going to check back this hand and win. But Nevertheless, it gives us something else to talk about. If we go all in here and he has a hand like ace king, does he just call with it? I mean, it'd be a pretty daunting call to make if we just jam for like one and a third pot. It was going to be like what, like around 130, 140% pot shove, 130% pot jam. Does he call with ace king? Probably if he's got ace king with the king of clubs, he does. What about all his other combinations of ace king? Do they just have to fold now? Do they call anyway? Should they hold in theory, but do they call in practice? That's an interesting question to ask. And also, does he now bet his ace kings on the river? So does he bet them? And if he like does bet them, does this now mean that we have a value bet with our ace queen? And if so, what size do we choose? And what are we hoping might call? Those are all the questions we've got to ask. And in game, we don't have much time to ask those questions. And if we're multi-tabling, we've got to ask ourselves all those questions. We've got to try and find answers whilst we've got other tables flashing at us. It's difficult. It's tough. It's easy to understand why I check this back. I think maybe it's a fine check back anyway. And maybe it's a bit too thin. But yeah, it's understandable why I would have checked this back. A, I think it's a bit too thin. And B, if you've got other things going on, sometimes you're just relieved that it's checked and you just take the easy showdown. So we did check. Milan had king queen off. Again, we're not here to comment about Milan's play. Move on to the next one. Queen 10 of clubs. Aggro-ish looking fish opens. I can go either way here. Call to allow this guy to come in 65-5 or 3-bet to prevent this guy squeezing to try and get heads up. I don't care which one we do here, to be honest. I do go with 3-bet. Get the cold call from the blue tag player, and then this guy obviously comes along. Flop top pair. Check, check. In position. Is this too thin? Do we check back here? Probably not. I think this is a decent spot to just bet right really quite small, like I don't know, like 7 to 9 bigs, something like that. We don't deny any equity to anybody because neither of these players are going to be making any big folds, any flush draws, any straight draws, not folding. But they also, versus that bet size, they're not going to fold hands like pocket sevens, pocket sixes, 8x either. So we get value from a lot. We get value from flush draws. We're not worried about denying equity here because we're not going to deny equity. The only equity we deny is if they're in there with like an ace queen off, no diamond. Ace jack off, just 2 overcards basically. That 1/3 does a reasonable job of denying equity to those hands. So yeah, I think I like 1/3 here. I got we just over 1/3, whatever. It's fine. Get a call and a fold. Turn ace. Now we think that our flop bet will have folded out a lot of his random ace X. Like the ace probably only improves his ace high flush draws, or his hands that were a pair on the flop, like ace 4, ace 8, ace 10. Otherwise, probably doesn't hit him too much. Maybe he's just like check calling with fucking ace jack off or ace 9 spades, something like that. But it's a bit of a brick. Not a total brick, but a bit of a brick. The question is, do we bet again versus check? Can we get value from draws here? Can we still get value from 10x? Is this too thin to bet on this street? I think it probably is. I think like checking back here, then if he checks again, jamming the river to get value from like 8x, just non-believing pairs. This is a flush draws miss, of course. To try and I think check here and then jam rivers. Say the river's like the deuce of fucking spades or something. Maybe jam something like that to get value from like slightly worse 10s, 8x. That's a good enough brick on the river for me. Check. To me, this is it's not a slam dunk all in, but I think probably is. I think it's a plus EV jam. I think we go all in here, we get called, we win more than half the time, which is all we need for it to be plus EV. Pre-rake. Yeah, this is just a jam, I think. It's close. And I understand why I've checked, because it is only second pair when all said and done. But against this type of play, it's just a jam. You see so often these guys would just call you off here with like fucking 8x. 8-7, just, yeah, call mate. 10-7, yeah, call mate. 10 jack, yeah, call mate. Too many of those hands in there. We should value bet this river. Yeah, they're exactly one of the hands that could have called. On to the next one. Queen Jack offsuit. Probably call because of the presence of this guy. But I don't love it. I mean, Queen Jack offsuit multi-way. I mean, this guy makes it worthwhile. But yeah, let's see what happens. Brick flop. Check, check, check. Queen turn. Check. I could check or bet here. I would be looking at this stat in game. Delay C bet. This guy in delay C bet's 24%, so I wouldn't check to this guy because his delay C bet stat is too low. He's just not going to attack this card often enough after checking the flop. So now the current version of Reg would bet this card. See what this version of Reg did. The old version of Reg bet the card too. And he raises. Okay. This guy calls. Ugh. Okay then. I think it should probably just be a fold now, I would imagine. I mean, this the guy's line makes no fucking sense, to be fair. We still could easily be ahead of this guy. No idea what this guy's trying to rep. Fuck knows. But obviously we know a call. But oh, what? Reg. I mean, I've obviously decided this guy's line is bullshit, which I think it probably is quite a lot. But what have I done here? Am I trying to make this cunt fold and this cunt call? I don't like this. This is punt material. Fold. Call. 7 on the river. He checks. Fuck knows. This hand is messed up. This hand is messed up. This guy's going check, check, check. Check, bet, raise, call. Sorry, yeah. Check, bet, raise, call, raise, fold, call. Called twice on the turn. Which would imply draw to me more than made hand. I don't think he's got an 8 anymore. He's going to either have a queen or a misdraw. Most of the time, you would imagine 6-5 has now got there too. Yeah, it's just too thin. Too thin. Way too thin. Apart from when he's got Queen 6 offsuit, and then it's not too thin. Okay, then. On to the next one. We have the ace and the 10 offsuit. We get 3-bet by someone we have no hands on, but looks like they're not very good. Cold call from another weaker player. I decide to 4-bet. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. But I've done it, so there you go. And both players call. We flop top pair. Check, check. I have an SPR of 1.5. We have top pair, top kicker against 2 whoppers. Bet, please, Reg. Call, call. Turn king. Okay. Check, check. We maybe still have the best hand. Maybe we've never had the best hand. There's no reason why either of these guys can't have a hand like pocket jacks, pocket queens even. Check back, Reg. River 7. Check, check. And again, I think maybe just too thin here. In the games I play, I mean, pocket jacks is the hand I would be more scared of here. That would play the way both these villains have played the hand. And pocket jacks is like the only hand I'm not worried about. Guess maybe some King X, like suited King X that had a backdoor on the flop, but I think they probed the river to a reasonable frequency after the turn checks through. But this pot's mighty big for second pair, so I think checking back's completely standard here. Even though pre-flop wasn't. We do check back, and we're up against the Jack 7 offsuit and the pocket 8s. Ace Queen offsuit. Villain raises to 3 blinds. We 3-bet to 10. This guy only opens 19% from the small blind. This is maybe a hand we could consider calling, not always 3-betting versus someone who isn't opening anywhere close to the correct frequencies. But anyway, we did 3-bet. Villain calls. I guess we're going to range bet this flop at a pretty high frequency. Don't like that size. No reason to make it that big. That's a mistake. He calls. Turn an ace. He checks. This is weird now because we bet half pot on the flop, which we shouldn't have done. Should not really anything I do. So now I'm not sure how we should approach this turn in terms of our sizing. If we'd range bet the flop for say 1/3, I would just go 2/3 on this turn or something like that. Do I want to go 2/3 now after half potting the flop? Feels like I don't want to, but what size do I want to go? Do we even want to bet? Do we ever check this? No, we don't check. I don't know. Maybe just half pot again. Maybe just half pot again. He calls. Puts 80 in the pot. Maybe not. Maybe slightly more than half pot. Maybe like 25. Try and go something like 2E. We don't have to jam the river, but if we go like a 2E size, and maybe give ourselves the option to jam the river if we want to. Yeah, maybe 25, 26 bigs. We did go a half pot. He called. It was a 4. Check. Do I think they probably donk flushes quite often because they're going to be aware that I'm going to just check back a shit ton of my ace-x part of my range now. So I think we can remove some flushes from their range because sometimes they will bet where they will donk them. That doesn't mean they strip to flushes, but they will have fewer flushes. In my opinion, anyway. Oh, this guy donk rivers again. It's going to be too small a sample size, but it's the sort of thing I would look at. River donk bet 0 from 12. So maybe this guy just doesn't have a donking range on river ever. Maybe this guy still does have a full complement of flushes still. Anyway, I think this pot's big enough for one pair. I think it's probably too thin to value bet. I don't mind the check. Villain like king, queen off. Which probably folds the river, I imagine, to a shove. Or at least should fold the river to a shove. We open pocket 10s here. Get called from small blind. Then a very active whale squeeze the big blind. We are starting this hand 130 something bigs deep. If this guy was already, say, 70 bigs deep, I would just be 4-betting and playing for stacks here against this type of opponent. I wouldn't think twice about it. I'd be like, right, okay, mate. I'd probably just 4-bet jam 10s. If we had, say, 70 bigs rather than 126, I'd probably just 4-bet rip my 10s here and just watch him call it off with ace 4, ace 5, pocket 3s, king, queen, all the other manic hands that they would just call off with. Obviously, some better ones sometimes too, but at this stack depth, I think just calling is better. This is what we do, and he calls 2. We check back. Probably okay, I guess. Multi-way pot, 1 overcard out there. Don't think we want to continue by bloating this pot. Turn jack, good card. Check. He now bets half pot. Trivial call. He calls 2. River king. Check, check. Yeah, this is fine. No problem with this one whatsoever. You know, I'd be more inclined to question it if we turn a hand into a bluff here than we do value bet, and we don't turn a hand into a bluff because the better hand doesn't fold. You know, is it either these two people folding pocket queens if they have it? Doubt it. Yeah, this hand's just whatever. Check down, no problem here. Anything I've done in this entire hand, I'm happy with it all. 8, 5, 4, 6 off. There you go. Maybe we get value from the 4, 6, but never mind. King 10. Calling 3 bets in position. 38, 23, just a 4% 3 bet. So we need to be a little bit wary. The guy's played 38, 23, which makes him look a bit shit and a bit bad aggressive, but he has only 4 bet. 11, 258 opportunities, so he's a nit with his 4 betting range. Bear that in mind for the rest of the hand. 4 pass out the top pair. He bets half pot. Trivial call. Nothing to see here. Turn 4. He bets half pot again. Still too early to fold, I think, even though it's getting mighty fucking dicey against someone with such a narrow 3 bet range. River 5. He checks. Do we have a value bet? Do I think this player type checks over pairs on this river? That's the question, isn't it? Because obviously we still lose to Jacks plus. It doesn't have any sets. He doesn't have 3s or 7s or 4s or 5s because he just doesn't 3-bet them pre. We've already established that. Hyper unlikely he has a straight. For the same reason, he just doesn't 3-bet very often. You wouldn't imagine with cards that contain a 6, like 6-8. He's not 3-betting that. Ace deuce, maybe, but very unlikely given like he's only 3-betting 4%. So he doesn't have straights. Does he have overpairs? That's the question. I wouldn't have had this stat at the time. I wouldn't have been using these stats, but this 24 bet river, 50% one river when bet, one when bet river tells me. It's a 3-bet pot, so it probably doesn't tell me too much. But he's relatively passive on rivers. But when he does bet, he only wins half the time. So he's either bluffing a little bit too much or maybe going for a little bit too much thin value, which makes me think that we probably have the best hand here. Can we get called by worse? That's the question. So I think he's going to have stuff like ace king, ace queen here a lot, ace jack suited maybe. How often do they call? Well, they don't call if we bet big. We know that. So can we again, as an absolute pure exploit, can we just bet quarter pot here? Maybe even 20% pot, maybe even 15% pot or 10% pot. Can we make a really small bet to get caught? Because I'm pretty confident this guy. I haven't reviewed any of these hands, by the way, and this hand could very easily have been fucking months ago. Very easily been months ago. I have no idea what villain has here. So I'm replaying the hand again in my head now. And I think we can maybe have a little 10, 15% here, maybe 20%, and just like put him in a really cunty, shitty spot with ace, king, ace, queen, which I think he has nearly all of the time. Yeah, so now we check back. I understand why I've checked back, but I think we just have a nice value bet of 12 bigs versus ace, king, ace, queen. Ace 3. Okay. So there you go. You have someone who's only 3-betting like 4% of the time. And then they wake up and they just turn it with the ace 3. So even though these stats are reliable in terms of this guy doesn't 3-bet a lot, it just goes to show it doesn't prevent them sometimes from having hands you wouldn't expect them to have. But nevertheless, as played, yeah, I still think we should have had a small value bet. On to the next hand. King, queen. We ISO a limper and we get another whopper coming along. Call. Nice big juicy bet, please, Reg, versus these. I wouldn't be surprised if I just bet 1/3 pot here like a moron. Just big bet, isn't it? We've got 2 absolute whoppers. We've got top pair. Just big bet, Reg. 10 bigs, whatever. Oh, I did do it. Well done, Reg. Good boy. Call. Turn 9. Check. It's getting a bit thinner. He has some 2 pairs. He has more 2 pairs now. King 9. He's playing 64-4. So these are the hands that are still in his range. King 9, still in his range. 7-9, still in his range. 6-9, still in his range. He already had King 6 and King 7, which were there at some frequency. And he has pocket 9s, he has pocket 6s, he has pocket 7s. So he has lots of hands that are ahead of us here because he's in such a wide range. But he also has loads and loads of fucking hands that we're still miles ahead of. So yeah, it's an interesting card though. I still think we have a bet. This guy's very passive. We have a bet, and I think probably not too big. We can't go as big as we went on the flop. We have to bet smaller now. We can't. We meet on the flop. We went over 3/4 pot. We can't do that here. That would be too thin, I think. But against this type of player, again, I'm just happy just betting, effectively betting the size of my hand. I think we have a hand that can, if we say we bet full pot here, I think like the range it causes, we're not doing that great. Probably still ahead, but not that great. We bet 1/3 pot here, and we're doing fantastic against the calling range. So I'd like a smaller bet. I end up going too big again. In my opinion, too big anyway. He calls, river 5, and now we just check, and that's that. He had 10-7. So yeah, as it worked out, that hand worked out quite nicely. But I'm not sure I love my big bet on the turn. King Jack offsuit, we open middle position. It's 3-bet by an absolute whopper dopper. We are deep as shit. We call. Top pair. Whopper dopper doodah bets pot. We call. Turn, he bets half pot. He's very aggressive down the streets, like 60% bet frequency flop. That's probably close to double the average. 58 on the turn, close to double the average. 47 river, not quite double the average, but getting up there. And then on the river, remarkably, despite being that aggressive, he still wins 64% of the time on the river when he bets. Maybe because people are just bluff catching really wide because of his stats. We have crystal clear call again here on the river. On the turn, sorry, 9 of clubs, he checks. Given he bets the river at such a high frequency, I think we just have the best hand here a lot. If this guy had a better hand than us, I think he would bet. Even though the flushes come in, I think he would probably still bet some hands like ace, king, king, queen, that type of thing. Is it too thin to value bet here? When this guy checks river, I think he's going to have an awful lot of shit that's just finally giving up, like a lot of air. But his aggression stats are so wild, he maybe just have gone bet with a hand like pocket 10s, pocket jacks, king 10, queen X, just random queen X at c-bet the flop and then just hit a pair on the turn. Again, I think as an exploit here against this type of player, I think we could just bet quarter pot here and just make money. So yeah, I think if I had my time again, I think I would like a small bet here of 15 to 18 big blinds. And I would expect to get called and win nearly all of the time. We did check back, of course, because that's what we're doing in this video. And they had queen ace, which would have absolutely snapped our cock off. So we are missing a little bit of value here. We're not missing as much value as I expected to see myself missing, but we are missing some value. Queen 10 suited, we open. 3-bet by a very tight regular, just fold dredge. That's it, game over. Don't do this. Just don't call this hand. We're playing against who we played 18-13 stats. He's really tight passive. I don't know his name, but I can imagine who it is. Just fold this hand dredge. But this is a pretty big mistake. We call. Flop out to the top pair. He checks. He c-bets 75% of the time in 3-bet pots, as you would expect of someone who's played 18-13. So he doesn't c-bet. He's just got ace king a lot here, you would imagine, and not very many traps. Or not just ace king, but like whiffed ace high. Just basically whatever, like he's got ace king on whatever 3-bets that isn't ace king that hasn't hit. So he just missed a lot here. But I don't think we want to reopen the betting just for the rare occasions. He's like checking some strong hands, try to balance his range by checking some strong hands. I doubt this player does that very often, but there's still a small chance he has a better hand here. We check back, turn 9. He now bets big. This is okay. So this is now like in line with what I think maybe how an overpair might play, like checking the flop for a little bit of balance, maybe just trying to like get a check raise in on a board where he doesn't want to see some dicey runouts. I don't know. What at the minute I've gone from thinking we're probably ahead of Ace King to now thinking we're probably behind. I know we can't be behind because we're going to win the pot. Well, we might be. We might be behind. We might river a fucking 10 or something and win the pot. But I don't like this against this player type. I mean, as played, we can't fold, but it's fucking rough. It's really rough. River 7, he checks. We have a slam dunk check back here. It very much now looks like he's maybe turned some equity with the clubs. Maybe he's just on the turn when we've checked back. He's just tried to throw out a Hail Mary with some random air. Yeah, it's just a check back though. I have no issue with checking this one back. Yeah. We're not to talk about Billen's range, are we? Billen's hand. So we'll move on. We open King 10 suited. We get a call from a whopper. We flop 2 overs and a flush draw. He donks, call. Could raise a guess, but he only donks 11%. So he's not like he's a frequent donker. There's many players who will be donking 50%, 60%, 70%, 35%, 40%. Against those guys, I think we have an option to raise. We don't have to do it, but we have an option to raise against someone who's donking 11%. I think we just call. So I raised. Well played, Reg. You fucking idiot. I think this is against an 11% donk. I think this is a mistake. It can't be a huge mistake. We have 2 overs and a flush draw against a bad player. But I don't think we need to do this. I think we just call, mostly. He does call. Turn a top pair. Checks. Now we have a super trivial value bet, which I make. He calls. 4 on the river. Is this too thin? Depends what size we go, I guess. This will be me checking back because I don't want to jam. But again, against this type of player, just bet 5th pot. Just bet 1/5 pot, Reg. And just get called by worst 10x. Get called by fucking deuce x. Get called by 8x. Get called by curious fucking ace-high flush draws that I've missed. Occasionally lose. But yeah, we just value bet this river. I think we don't have to shove. I think shoving would be okay. It's only like 2/3 pot. But I just think, yeah, this needs to be a bet. Either a shove, which I think is fine. Does the small bet make more money than shove? Maybe. But yeah, it's a bet for certain. Big mistake not betting this river. And yeah, just yeah. Bad check by Reggie. Into 321 opens. Neither of these players are going to squeeze. We're not going to squeeze light, should I say? So we don't need to 3-bet this time. We can just call the button in position against this player. Or we can 3-bet. I don't mind either way. We do go with 3-bet here. Excuse me. Villain calls, as we expected he would. With the flop, he donks. We have some backdoor equity. We're not going anywhere. We call. Turn ace. He checks. Crystal clear value bet. Probably. For around. Again, against this type of player, I don't mind just down betting. Just get the call. I think maybe it's too thin to go big bet river, big bet, and then big bet again river, but we can go small twice here, I think. We go half, whatever. He calls. River he checks. Yeah, this is a slam dunk value bet. 83 VPIP. This is a big mistake by me not betting this river. Big mistake. Just bet 20 bigs, Reg. This is a huge mistake. Yeah, it's a slam dunk value bet. Shut up, Reg, you fucking idiot. Yep. Next one, 10 jack. We 3-bet. I guess I've chose this size. Oh no. What have I chose this size for? I guess I just want to do a cheap ISO here. But this is shit. This is not good. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is with me attempting a cheap ISO attempt. I don't want these guys to just call behind. I want to get heads up, but I don't want to 3-bet too much. 3-bet too much of a big size, get 4-bet and have to fold. This guy doesn't have a big stack to begin with. So I'm on board with a slightly smaller 3-bet here, but go 8, not 7, Reg. This is a mistake. He calls. Flop top pair. Check. Bet. I think we can just go bigger against this guy. But whatever. Call. Turn brick check. Bet again, Reg. Yep. Again, I think we can go slightly bigger, but it's fine. River check. Yeah, just all in, Reg, aren't we? Ball doesn't change very much. He's going to snap us off with all these pocket pairs. Deuce, not deuces, sorry. Maybe 4s doesn't fold. Doesn't call. Maybe 5s doesn't. 6x calls. I think 7s through 10s call always. Sometimes we're going to value on ourselves against a jack, but it's 80% pot, but I think it's a trivial jam against somebody playing these stats. Yeah. I'm making far fewer of these mistakes. And now against Whoppers, I wasn't. These are probably because this is all chronological and we're like getting through the hands now. I'm not sure where we're up to. Yeah, this is probably judging on where I'm at in the drop down box. I'd say this is around middle of the year, and I wasn't playing particularly well in the middle of the year. I wasn't. I was a bit stale with the game. Wasn't enjoying it very much. I was just going through the motions. So I'm not justifying that. It's not. It's just an explanation. I just wasn't playing very well. Limp here. Call. ISO from a active regular. 3-bet from another active-ish. Please. Well, we probably should fold, but please don't call Reg. Please call 4-bet. Yes, at least we call 4-bet. Size, little bit on the small size. It's just basically a min called 4-bet. Can go a little bit bigger. I don't think it makes a huge difference, to be honest. I wouldn't want to go much bigger than like 22 here. But min, yeah, don't know. Anyway, this guy calls, capping the tits off himself, you would imagine. Could you imagine he wants to reopen the betting with like ace, king, aces, kings, queens. So I think he's pretty capped here already. King high flop. I guess it's fine to just bet here, like really small. I mean, super tiny. Like 10%, 10 to 15%. Go with that. He calls, turn ace. Check it. Just bet small again here, like quarter pot or something like that. We don't have to go too big. Something like 12 bigs, 13 bigs, 14 bigs. 6 dollars. That's probably too small, Reg. Well, not probably. It just is. It's just 10% again, isn't it? A little bit bigger, I think, would be better. He calls again. River 5. Checks. We should just be all in. We should have manipulated this pot so we're all in on the river. If we'd bet, say, another 7 blinds on that turn, there would now be 82 blinds in the pot. There'd only be 62 blinds in our stack. We'd have a 3/4 pot shove. Instead, we've left ourselves with pot. I don't like it. My pot management has not been good here. Should have bet slightly bigger on the turn. Still think this is a river jam. It's not too thin. I don't think. It's just a jam. And we obviously don't make it. And he had that hand. I mean, yeah, whatever. We're not here to talk about Bill ranges, are we? Let's play, so just crack on. Whereas I got my play there was. I mean, had we bet bigger on the turn, he would have folded. So we may be out in our exact line there. We made a tiny bit more money, but it's not good enough. Just bet slightly bigger on the turn and shove the river, Reg, you fucking fat idiot. Reg opens cut off. We 3-bet button. Reg calls. Top pair. C-bet 1/3. A little bit too big, whatever. Crack on. Call. Turn 4 should be a brick, really. 6-5. What have that much of a frequency? What have pocket 4 so much of a frequency? Check. Bet again, please, Reg. That's fine. He calls. River deuce. Check. All in, please, Reg. Yeah, this is bad. We should just be all in here. I think. Respect. Should we be all in? Hang on. Let's not rush the turn. We should probably 2E the turn, I think. Not half pot. So what would 2E be? We've got 95 bigs left. Would it be pot? No, it wouldn't be pot. It'd be nowhere near fucking pot. 20 bigs, call, put 70 in there. Yeah, I think 2E would be about 27 bigs, 27, 28. So nearly pot, or maybe like 25 bigs. So I think the mistake is probably the turn, not setting stacks up correctly. You should probably go bigger than half on the turn. Yeah, like 22, 23-ish. Then we can just shove the river. And I think the mistake is a turn, and then on the river, because I've thought we should be jamming a lot, but it's too big. I don't know what I've been thinking at the time, but I think if I size appropriate on the turn, I then have a profitable river jam. Do we now have a profitable river jam for an over bet? Maybe not as much, but I still think we have a crystal clear bet. I don't like small betting rivers in position versus regs as much. I think it makes us exploitable. So I think we still just should play jam or check here, and I think the play should be jam. But we didn't manage the pot very well. We had a hand that couldn't call anyway, but that's by the by. And we're not going to get through all these hands because I've got to go out in. Well, we might get through them, but we'll see. How many more is to go? Let's just check how many more is to go, ensuring we might not get through them. No one have got no chance of getting through them. No chance whatsoever. Pocket queens, we open. 3-bet by a reg. 4 bets. Excuse me, Reg. Hey, why are you being trappy here? Why is trappy Reg coming out? The guy doesn't even see bet at a particular high frequency. Against somebody who I think's quite active and has like 100% C bet in these spots, I don't mind a little bit of trappy. Once in the blue moon against this guy, this is just flat out fucking bad. He C bets our pot. Call. Check. Bet from Reg. Yep. Call. Check. All in from Reg. Yeah, this is just a mistake. And it starts pre. Starts pre by trapping against a player that we shouldn't be trapping against because he doesn't. This is me just not doing my homework. If I'd have just done this one thing, all right, he only C bets 52%, then just 4-bet pre-Reg, the whole hand's different. Yeah, just jam now, Reg. It's a mistake to check back. Big, massive mistake. This is probably the worst time we've played so far in the video. Yeah, fuck off, Reg, you fucking asshole. Okay, limp, ISO, call, top pair, pretty connected board. Guy doesn't fall to many C bets. So prefer bigger bet here, which is what we do. Called 4 to brick turn. Check. Like a nice big bet again here with the view to checking back river. Maybe slightly bigger, but I'm fine with that. He calls. 9 river. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Check back now. No problem with this one. Maybe he calls with that, but I think that's fine. Jack 10. I'm not going to rush through his hand, by the way. That one felt a bit rushed. I'm not going to rush through them. We're going to try and do them properly, and then just when we run out of time, we run out of time. Calling here. I guess fine. We have a reg in the small blind who. Oops. How often does he squeeze? Not very often. 6% of the time. Yeah. So I'm fine with this call in position. We do get squeezed this time. Fold. I think we should probably just fold now. But I'm a stubborn cunt, so we know I'm going to call. So we've managed to, like, instead of isolating this guy, isolate ourselves against like the only other reasonable player at the table. We do have position, I suppose. Now we know from the last hand this guy doesn't. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same guy. Yeah, it is. We know he doesn't c-bet close to pure in 3-bet pots, so this c-bet carries a lot more strength. We do have 2 overs, which might be worthless. We do have double backdoor. I mean, this is me just being stubborn. We call. Probably okay in like in theory, but in practice against someone who only squeezes 6% and only c-bets 50% in 3-bet pots, this call can't be making money, I don't think. Turn the 10, he checks. I don't know what to make of that check against this particular villain, but I don't think we want to be reopening the betting. River 8, he checks again. Yeah, I don't mind just checking back. I haven't got a clue what's going on with his range here. It doesn't look very strong though, does it? I just think we're just not going to get called very often and win. When we get called, we probably just lose. Even though I expect us to win the hand nearly all of the time, as played by checking back. I think when the times we bet and get called, then we're not doing too good. But it's not a well played hand by me, not even close. Villain had that, and yeah. On to the next one. We open the pocket jacks. Called by a whale. Called by another whale. Squeezed by a reg. Jesus Christ, I do some farting on videos, me. How often is this guy squeezing? This guy's squeezing 10%. More from the button than the blinds, but sample size is worthless for that type of thing. We've got 5k hands, but for squeezing, not. We can't be going into delving into right position. I think we just call here, which is what we did. He c-bets 1/3. We call. Turn 8. He checks. We check. River 9. He checks. Yeah, I'm fine. Just checking back here. I mean, he could have pocket queens. Could have. Am I fine checking back? Pocket queens that we lose to when bet on bet call. What else do we lose to on bet call? Probably not a lot. Maybe he's just shitting his pants with like King 10 suited or something. No, I think this is fine. Just a check back. Could be wrong, but I don't mind this. I'm not going to give myself a kick in for that. On to the next one. It's Queen of Clubs. ISO limper. Call. Flopped the absolute nuts. Donked into. You only got a 13% donk bet stat. Just call or raise, isn't it? Which do we prefer? This guy's generally very passive. 13% bet flop, 16% bet turn. So he likes his hand. Just raise reg. We could be behind to some of his range, pocket 6s, pocket 7s, ace 6, ace 7, etc. But we just got so much equity. I'm just happy to raise and run it here. We do raise. He calls, turn king, check. We should bet for certain. What size? Don't think it really matters. Doesn't really matter. Just bet reg, which we did. He calls river jack. And we just bet reg. Yeah, this is bad. This is a bad check back against this player. Yeah, now and again he's gonna have 6-7 A7, A6. These are the type of hand. I think this run out, this is like kind of like brick, based on like his aggression early on. He's going to have flush draws sometimes. He's going to have 6-7, A6, A7 that beat us, and then he might have like some other A6 that just like never folds and never wins. Yeah, this is just a better thing. Yeah, poor edge, poor. 3-bet. King Jack off on the button. Really, Reg? Okay. C-bet Reg. Okay. Reg is playing like a cunt. Now he donks. What's he gonna call that? We fuck off, Reg. Oh, Reg, what are you doing, you fucking wanker? Fuck's sake, man. This is just shit. Absolute shit. I mean, I don't like the 3-bet pre. I don't like the fact we didn't fucking range bet the flop. And I don't like the fact we've raised his turn. This is fucking monumentally shit from me. He calls. I mean, why is this even in here? Oh, it's just one with check back and one. So this guy just lets us fucking win. And then we just give up on the fucking river. And we hang on, no, we rivered a fucking straight, man. And I'm checking back. Was I pissed when I played this hand? I don't play poker drunk. Fuck off, Reg. Yeah, just fuck off, Reg. This is absolutely dreadful from me. Which I'll just take a moment here to say RIP to Reg's fucking poker career. Because this is absolute horseshit. Fuck off, Reg. It's diabolical. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all play hands shit from time to time. But this is, fuck me, this is diabolical. Absolutely diabolical. I will not play many worse hands than this all year. It's got to be in the top 1% of worst hands I've played this year. Fuck off, Reg. And then we open here. Check or bet, I don't mind either. We go with bet. You get called. I'm still pissed off with myself. Turn 2 pairs. Probably bet a little bit bigger, but whatever. Get check raised. So the guy is saying he's got a straight. Maybe a turn set of 9s. Repping pretty thin. And we block a set of 9s. We're live against the straight. Call, I guess. Number 10. He now checks. See, I think he value bets a straight still. He definitely does. Does he value bet a set? Probably. Which means we probably just said, well, we know we had the best hand because that's the whole premise of the video. But should I have identified that we had the best hand? It's having the best hand that's getting called by worse as well, isn't it? Yeah, I don't hate this check back up to turn check raise. I was almost about to be too harsh on myself again there because I'm still pissed off about the last hand, but I think this is, yeah, standard check back. And Billen had a worse 2 pair. So this hand will be the last hand because I've got to go out and pick my mate up. So this is the last hand of the video. Limp, ISO, call, flop top pair against a whopper. Big bet, please, Reg. Like it. Call. Slightly smaller bet, but still bet, Reg. Not as big. Anything half potish, maybe slightly less than half pot. Just get the call from like a whopper. It's getting too thin. All of a sudden, we don't want to play for stack. Well, I don't think we wanted to play for stacks anyway. But this 4 does improve his range a tiny bit. And you might be like, what are you talking about, Reg? This guy's a whopper. 5-4s in there, 7-4s in there, 8-6s in there, etc. Yep, I'm fine with that. He calls. River, 10 of hearts. Check. I think we have a bet here. The problem is it's not an all-in bet. And if we get this is what I think this should be a bet. I think it should be like a 1/3 pot bet and fold to a shove. But historically, I've been shit at bet folding, so this is me protecting myself against getting jammed on and not having the discipline to fold. So I check back here just to avoid making a huge mistake versus check raise. That is fucking shit poker. This should just be a bet for like 1/3 pot to get called by all this like Jack X and etc. And maybe even some 7x, or maybe some worse 2 pairs. This is a bad check back. And maybe because of that, maybe he does. For 1/3 pot, I suspect a 70/10 doesn't fold for 1/3 pot. Again, that's a mistake. And I guess, yeah, we'll just pause for a moment. Yep, sorry, this is what I wanted to show. I guess that's why my graph did this in the middle of the year. I was just not playing well. I was stale. I wasn't really enjoying the game very much. I just wasn't playing well. And just missing value at the start of the year, playing well. Middle of the year, not playing so well. And that's a lot of the hands that we'll have been looking back at there, like just missing value, crystal clear missing value. And then towards the end of the year again, we started playing much better again now. So like first quarter of the year, good. Second quarter of the year, not so good. Third quarter of the year, getting much better again. And that's, yeah, it's easy to see why now. I was just playing so bad through like, I don't know, maybe April through July. Maybe March through June, whatever that is. He's playing really badly. And that's going to happen. That's just going to happen sometimes. Shouldn't happen for as long as it did. But I was just pretty stale and not really enjoying the game very much. Because I wasn't studying, I was just complacent and just not playing well. And you deserve that. You deserve a spell of 125,000 hands where you barely make any money. I made like $1,000 in 2.5 months, something like that. Shit. And I didn't deserve to. You can see how I played there. I haven't deserved to. But we are picking it up again now, and we're really happy with how it's going again. Really happy with my game. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys got something from that. I hope you've picked up something that you can do in your own game. You should run your own filters, get more out of your tracking software. But we're going to leave it there now because I have to fuck off. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. As always, fuck the Tories, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.